Okay, as I understand it, this is Monday before Thanksgiving. It's class. And we do not have class on Wednesday, as I understand it. I'll double check the schedule, but I'm pretty sure that's true. So this is our last class before Thanksgiving. And what I thought I'd do is we already have the shed, so I thought I'd teach you a little bit about a little bit more about material applications, and then we're going to export this to a 3D PDF file. So I want to just bring up your drawing. I'm going to change this to an isometric view for now, and I'm going to put it as an illustration with shadows. It's the illustration with shadows mode, so we can see the colors. And the first thing we're going to do is apply some standard materials, and the outside of this sheathing is just going to be a painted finish, so we're going to pick a color for that. The windows and the doors will be a different color, the frame will be a different color, the fascia will be a different color, and we'll do some wood grain things for the studs on the inside and maybe the floor sheathing. So we are going to go to Settings, Rendering, Materials, and your library may be slightly different than mine. You can see this is loading up some things that came in. I'd already applied some material to this, I think some glass to the windows. You can see I have a brown glass reflective assigned to this window, and I have another window here in this door that's just blue. What we're going to do is assign that. So if you don't have the glass up there, just go to Palette, Open, and you should see a list of palettes as you go down through there. We'll select the glass and plastic, and you can see I already had one open here. We're looking for clear glass, refractive. I'm showing mine I'll just do a smooth mode as a rectangle, so it just shows up as a black image. And what I want to do, actually that's brown, clear glass, no refraction. That's the one I want right there, clear glass, refraction. And up here at the top you'll see there's assign material. If I click on this though, we have some options. If I use the first tool, assign by level and color, every object that I've drawn that is that level and color will become that material, which works good if you have a lot of things, and we'll use that when we do the studs and the framing because it's all going to be the same type of wood grain. But in this case, this is if you want to remove that assignment, and over here is attach the material. Attaching the material attaches it to a specific entity within the drawing. If other things are drawn in the same level or color, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to click this one. I'm just going to left click on this blue rectangle, and it highlights, so it says, is that the one you want? I left click again, and then just left click outside. You'll notice now it turned black, and I think if I kind of rotate this around, well, I should have been able to look inside. Let me just see if I got the right thing here. I may have more than one. I hadn't really looked at it. See, that's what you should be able to see the studs from the inside. Let me try glass, no refraction. And you can actually move this up. I'm going to change this to a wireframe real quick. It's too bad the first thing I select was going to be. That's why. See, it has two sides to it. So I'm going to do the back side. I'm going to do this side. And now when I render this as a illustration, try it one more time. Let me just try attaching it on that one. Yeah, it worked that time. I just assigned it rather than attaching it to the material. Must have been something in the background there. But now you can see, if I rotate this around, you can see inside through the glass. I need to turn on my roof sheathing. Interesting. Oh, I must have assigned my roof sheathing to glass, so I'll take that off. Anyway, we'll go back to settings, rendering materials, and let's look at our glass here. There it is. And you can actually remove this stuff. You can see that the door, the floor sheathing got assigned. I must have just grabbed it by accident, so I'm just going to right click on that and say delete. Right click on that and hit delete. So that'll come back, and now, but we've still got our door, and I can see my brown sheathing down here in the bottom. Sorry about that. So anyway, we'll go back to an isometric mode, and let's put a paint color on the door frame. Let's try and see if I can get that one to work. So we'll go to settings, rendering, materials, and I'm going to use the interior finish palette. I want a palette open, and we'll go to interior finishes. You should have one like that. Here's some different paint colors. We have beige, blue, crimson. You can select them and see what they look like. Again, you may not see what this is. Let's say I want to paint my my building green. They're actually red. That red color looks good. You can paint it any color you want. We'll hit the assign tool. In this case, I want to assign it by level and color. So as soon as I do that, you'll notice all the walls become red because they're all in the same level and color. Okay, so our shed's starting to look a little bit better. Let's paint our fascia crimson. What goes with red? I'm not very good at colors. Beige. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. High gloss white. Eggshell white. That works better. Again, we'll assign it fascia, and it probably already did this one down here. Yep. And I want to do just the end boards of the framing pieces in that. So let's try selecting that, and I'm just going to say I want that one white, and we'll rotate it around to the other side, and we'll say I want this one to be white. Hopefully that'll stick when we assign the other material to it. Go back to an isometric. We'll do this door frame in high gloss beige. And if I wanted to change the texture of this, you'll notice it has some stuff called smooth and bumpy. Doesn't really work on colors, but if you have multiple textures on a color, by adjusting this, it looks at the material itself and gives it a stipple finish. And let me just show you how that works. Let's assume that we maybe had some brick on the outside. If I go to excuse me, palette open, we'll go to block and bricks, see what we got. Multi-red. And we'll try this one. That one. And I assign that to the same material, so I'm just going to do this outside cover with that material. And you see how it comes out in this brick tone. If I were to render this, and I'm going to open up my render tool as a Luxology, and your version is a little bit different than this, so don't worry too much about it. And give this a quick render. Let's just see what it looks like. We should see the texture of the brick show up on this material when it's done. It's making several passes over it. And on the final pass, you'll see that it starts to put the brick texture in. and you're starting to see that kind of three-dimensional appearance of the brick on the shed itself. You can see how it ties it together. You can almost see the texture. So we'll take that out of there, and I'm going to move it back to our finish color, which was red. And gotta find the right. There we go. Eggshell red right there. So you can try different things. Had to refresh it to get it to take that. Now I'm going to turn off the exterior sheathing for a second. So we can see the studs. And I want to make those look like wood. We have a number of wood grains that we can put on here. Let's just try one. Rendering assigned materials. Rendering materials, sorry. We can bring some of these up so that it shrinks the menu a little bit. Let's go to palette, open, and we're going to say wood. And I got one down here. There's one from the Bentley material. We'll use that one. So there's a wood. We'll try this one, wood 19. And I'm just going to assign it to all that levels and colors that are in this color. And you can see as we zoom in, it looks pretty good, but one of the problems we have is the grain is running the wrong way on the wood. So we're going to flip that. If you click on this little pattern tool here, we're going to change and drop down this instrument here and just change your rotation to 90. Whoops, not 980, 90. So yeah, the grain now is vertical up and down. And that's pretty good. We can also assign it to these blue pieces and it would probably look okay. But let's say you really want to match up some wood grain that you like. I'm going to show you how to customize your wood grain. So I'm just going to minimize this stuff for a minute and minimize MicroStation. I'm going to open up my Internet Explorer. And we're going to go look for some images of wood grains. Apologize for my connection, it's a little bit slow. You can actually take any JPEG image, TIFF image, bitmap image will work. JPEGs are generally the most used. And I'm going to type in here as soon as it lets me. Get the right day. We're going to type in wood grains. And we're going to type images. So it just gives us images of wood grains. We'll find one we like here that might work well for a stud. Wood grain. This one looks pretty good here. It's an oak. I'm going to just double click on that and looks like it was from some class that somebody did. I'm just going to right click on this and say save picture as. And I'm going to put this in my drawing file where I'm keeping, I'll put it in the raster file here. We're just going to call it wood grain 1. Hit save. We're going to go back out of this, back into MicroStation. We'll go to the materials editor. So we said, well, we like that wood, but we're not really sure. So I'm going to say copy that wood and paste. As soon as I say paste, it's going to add an additional wood 19 down here. And I'm going to rename this wood CJ1. You can call it anything you want. So it just made a duplicate of that same wood grain, but this time we're going to go change the pattern. We're going to go here and say I really want, instead of this, I want to go find the wood grain that I just downloaded. It's under My Documents, remember, wherever you put yours. Raster files, there's a wood grain. Say master units. Should show up here. I'm not sure why it's not. There it is. Shows up in the sphere. Does it show up in the rectangle? So it's at 90 degrees. Let's try it at 0 just to see if it's going to work. And I'm going to put the size at 1 and 1. Unlock this so that it, and that looks good. Close this out. You can see our wood here now. Looks like it's going to be a little bit big. I'm going to link the bumpiness to the pattern so I can take that wood grain and give it some texture. I'll put it up here about halfway. I'm going to go back to the pattern again, and I'm going to put it in at like 0.2 and 0.2 in the Y. I can lock this back up, and let's see what we can do. Let's assign it to this material again, and we'll take a look at it. So that's that wood grain that we just took out. I may have done a little bit more stuff, so I can brighten it up with this tool. We can make it duller shiny. You can see it's giving us some pretty good wood grains. I mean, you could experiment with it. We're going to go ahead and whoops, I do put it in the wrong one. Thought it looked a little dark. That's better. Let's see. There's our wood grain. We don't want meters, we want that in master units. And 1. Huh. It's not letting me edit. Let me just get down here so I can make sure I'm in the right one. Wood grain 1. We'll try it at 0.5. That's not too bad. You can see there's some spillage because it has some dark parts on the images. But if you're happy with it, you can experiment with some different types of mappings. Probably not the elevation drape, just parametric. We'll say that works once we've played around with it a little bit. And close this out. Get down to this point. Still got the bump map attached to it, so there will be some grain showing up on it. We'll also want to attach the blue material, so I'll just click here, and when I refresh it, all of the blue wood should show up. For the paneling on the floor, I'm just going to go with this floor 2. I'm going to assign it to this sheathing. Again, that's going the wrong direction too. It looks like a hardwood floor. I'm going to just grab this one and drop it into wood 3 and see if that, no, that's too dark. That's way too dark. Do they have any light woods here? I think the one I just had actually looked pretty good. And I just need to change the rotation of the pattern so it's running the long direction. If we get the right one. There we go. So the grain is now running in this direction. We've got a couple other pieces here. We'll put our wood grain on this framing on the bottom. If I take out the sheathing for the floor, I just took out the floor framing. There we go. Make sure those are all the same color. And if I take out the roof sheathing level, so we've already got that painted gray right there. We still have these red studs in here, and I'll just apply those to the same. You notice those changed, but the ones on the end didn't, because I have those attached as an element. I think the last thing would be the frame, so we'll just go up to some interior finish, make it white. Sometimes you do have to refresh it a little bit. Down here on this doorknob and the hinges, we're going to open up a palette called metal. We should have some chrome. I always like to use chrome when I can. It gives a nice reflection. You'll notice that the hinges didn't get there, so those are probably in a different level. And what color will we paint the door? Let's go with a blue. Navy blue, that goes good with the red, right? Okay. So we've assigned some things to materials, we've assigned some things to to levels and colors specifically. But we've pretty much got it done. Let's turn on the sheathing levels now. We don't want any of those 2D levels turned on, or the shape. And we'll just spin this around. I'll do a fit view. Sometimes you lose it. If I still have the settings for the view attributes set to clip volume, should come up here in a second. Computer's a little slow right now. There we go. Just turn off that clip back and front, and that way when you spin it around it won't lose anything. So we can see everything's on here. You'll notice also you should have a little pair of feet here. If you wanted to walk into your building, you can actually use this to kind of walk in. I'm not sure what just happened there, but I might have to put some perspective on it. Let's see if I can get this to work. It's a little slow, and I need to pan up. I want to walk right through the door with it shut. I can do that because that's what I do. When I get up close, it'll kind of black out for a second, and then you'll be inside the building. And once you're in here, you can actually use your mouse and kind of walk around inside your shed. You can look out your window. You can pull it back with your mouse. Whoops, don't go outside the wall. There we go. Walking speed is set, and then we can walk out the door. So you can do that a number of different ways. You can walk through paths and different things. But anyway, that's just kind of fun. So we've got this done, and I've added a little bit of perspective to it just using this perspective tool. Just kind of pull it up this way. And what we're going to do now is print this. We're going to print it to a PDF. And we want to be able to send this to somebody as an email. In your case, you're going to be dumping it into the folder, but certainly you can also send it out to people if you want to. This 3D PDF is available as part of your free Adobe Reader, as long as it's, I think, version 7 or higher. So what we're going to do is go to, actually, you know what we should do is put some ground here so that we can see some shadows. Let's take this out of here, rotate it to a top view, and we'll put this, might as well be official, and we'll make a level for 3D ground. Pull it up to an isometric view. And all we're going to do is go to our solids modeling, and we'll just draw a block that is, I'm going to do it out here. Hit T. We'll draw it in green. We're going to go 16. Here we go. 16 by 16 by 1 inch thick. We'll roll it up to a top view. We just want to place this now underneath the building. Roll it up to a front view. We want to pull that ground up to the bottom of the building. I hit F. Lock the axis with the enter key. So now we go in here. If I render this piece again, shows the last rendering, we'll start seeing some changes in this. Yeah, we don't see the sun on it, but we'll go ahead and turn the sun on. So if we go to settings, rendering, light manager, you'll see solar's grayed out. Just double click on solar, and we'll set it to today's date. See, as soon as I do that, my shadows change over here. I want to show shadows medium. We're going to increase the time of day or decrease it. Sun's kind of low on the horizon. Ambient light, we'll kind of pick that up a little bit, or maybe pull it down. There we go. Just so it looks right for you. And I think what I need to do is make this a little earlier in the year, maybe August. That's pretty good. So I don't see the shadows running all the way down the building. Yep. You can give it a color if you wanted to shade it with kind of a yellow hint. You put that on, it kind of gives it a yellow hint. But in this case, we just want to keep it kind of white. It doesn't gray it out so much. Later on, we'll be talking about putting artificial lights inside the building, but in this case, we'll take that out. I want to make this look like grass on the bottom, so we're going to go to settings, rendering, materials. Hopefully I can find a grass in here. Palette open. Landscape, I think, has some grass maybe. There's dead grass. What else we got? Grassy field, grassy fringe, grass imperfect. That would be me. Excuse me. We're just going to assign that to the bottom of this, and all of a sudden this really starts getting a more realistic effect on it. Now we'll put some perspective on it again. Just kind of pull that out, maybe like that. Roll it around, do a fit view, and zoom out just a little bit. So we're going to take this shed and we're going to print it now to the 3D. So I think we're set. Go to File, Print. I'm going to pull my sides in a little bit on this. Whoops. Just want to kind of fill the screen if I can with the so let's say we put it like that, and we'll refresh over here and maximize it. We're already set to select Bentley driver. I want you to select the regular PDF driver and select print to 3D, and you'll see this show up. And we're going to go to some settings for 3D plotting. We'll kind of increase our mesh resolution. You can kind of play around with this. I want my texture map to be large, 512 by 12. We don't have any animation, so I can cut that out. I want to place walk on my toolbar. Background color is fine. Shaded illustration. We'll do it shaded and see what that looks like, but we can change it once we get in there. And that looks okay. We'll just say okay. Now when I hit print, I want to print this just like we did before to our homework directory. It's going to be assignment 13, 3D. And hit save. You may have to do this a couple times before you get it the way you like it. We'll see how this one looks when we get it done. It may take a little bit longer. It says it's finished now. I'm going to minimize this. Don't get out of it because I may have to go back and redo it again. I'll go to my Windows Explorer. CT120, homework. Looking for assignment 13. It's a pretty good size file. This thing wants me to reestablish my credentials. I'm afraid it's probably some bug, so I'm ignoring it. Okay. It may take a little longer to come up than your normal PDFs, but once it comes up on the screen, what you'll see now are some different tools, and we can actually zoom in on this. We can spin our model around. Again, we can walk. Click here to walk. We can actually walk into the model just like we did before. Once we get in through the wall, there's our shed. You can see it gives us a little more. And we can walk around inside here, see how things look. Come around here. There's our window from the inside. We can walk down along there and sneak out through the window. Come out into the white space. If you get lost, you just hit the home and it brings you back to your original. There are some other features here. We can look at daylights, changes the lighting on it a little bit. You can change the rendering mode. If it stops locking up on me, there we go. I can go to shaded illustration. We can change it to transparent, wireframe, or just regular transparent. When it's transparent, you really get a better look at what you're able to see inside the building. You can change your background color. Hopefully it's something better looking than that. This is our spin mode. We can spin it around. We can pan up and down. We can zoom in and out. And with this tool we can kind of do both and use the wheel to zoom in and out just like we do on the others. Excuse me. So these files really aren't that big. There's our solid model back the way it was. Let me click here. You can see also when we exported this, and yours should work the same way, that it has our levels intact. So I can take off my wall sheathing, and I can take off my roof sheathing, and my floor sheathing if I want, and be able to look at my model with those levels turned off, which is a really nice feature. If you're sending this out to a person that's hired you to design their shed or their home or whatever, You can just say go here and turn this level off, and you're going to be able to look inside the skeleton of your building. Turn them back on if you want. And that's all there really is to it. So experiment with that, get the best shot you can, and I want you to send it. Now, you probably don't have a way to put your name. Just make sure your name's on the file name, and I'll just have to go through and put your name on them when I print them out. So I'll be careful when I do that, and that pretty much takes care of it. So good luck, try it, and I'll be demonstrating it again on tomorrow night, Monday night, and no class on Wednesday. And have a happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you after the Thanksgiving break. Thanks.